USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Learn more and get a quote at usaa.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
The Abercrombie Kids Summer Sale is in full swing, with up to 50% off select styles for the season. Summer plans, vacation, and camp days are all covered, with new dresses, shorts, tees, and swim. Abercrombie Kids has the summer staples they need and the looks that they want to wear. Shop in-store, online, or in the app. Offer applies to select styles as indicated. Discount applied at checkout online.
Black hair is so complicated. I try so hard because I get so many of these cases. I don't care how empathetic I want to be to you guys. Unless I've endured what you've endured, it's so difficult.
This is the plaintiff, Beatrice Morrison. She says she went to the defendant for a hair weave, and the inept beautician ended up burning her hair off. Now she's going bald. The sassy woman denies any wrongdoing. She can't even go out in public without an unsightly wig, and is suing for $7,500 for wig products and pain and suffering. This is the defendant, Felicia O'Donnell. She says the plaintiff keeps insisting she used a bonding glue on her forehead, which for the record, she did not. The woman was very happy when she left the salon, and she can't come around almost 3 months later and blame her for making her hair fall out. In fact, this sounds like a real scam to her. She's accused of scalping a customer.
All parties, please raise your right hand.
What you are about to witness is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in civil court. Both parties have agreed to drop their claims and have their cases settled here before Judge Marilyn Millian in our forum, the People's Court.
Be seated, come to order, please. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Okay. Beatrice Morrison?
Yes.
You are suing Felicia O'Donnell for $7,500, a statutory maximum in your state of Colorado, because according to you, she messed up your weave and caused you hair loss and much pain and suffering. Tell me what happened.
Okay, I called my niece, Angela Morrison, because she always has gorgeous hairstyles and stuff, so I wanted to go to her beautician to get my hair done. She referred me to Jay, and I went into the shop, and Jay was leaving town that day. So he asked me if it was okay if Felicia finished.
How far along had Jay gotten?
He had only washed my hair.
Finished? Really? You could have washed your own hair. That's like he barely started then, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
He just barely
Now,
started.
do you live in Colorado? Do you live in the city where your niece lives?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You are a flight attendant?
Yes, ma'am.
So you travel a great deal?
Yes.
And do you normally do your hair at home? And where are you from? Denver?
I'm from Denver, but normally because of the fact I worked for a major U.S. carrier, I was getting my hair done in Africa. So I was doing a lot of braids and African styles.
Okay. Where were you? The last time that you did it in Africa was when?
It was 2 months before I went to her.
Okay.
Here
and you had done it in Africa the preceding how many times?
Like
years.
Yes.
Okay. So go ahead.
Okay. Here are pictures of my hair the morning that I went into the shop and also before I went into her shop.
Let me see it. You took pictures of yourself before going into her shop?
Because of the fact, what was going on was it was an African hairstyle, and I wanted to get it redone.
Okay, but which pictures are the ones before you walked into the salon?
The one where you see nothing but a whole lot of thick hair.
Wait, is it this one that you took a picture?
No, that's me before I even...
Okay, so these are the ones?
Yes, ma'am. That's the day I went into the shop.
Okay. So what happens?
Then I had requested a sew-in weave, which was $170. I wanted needle and thread only, okay?
As opposed to glue?
Yes, I wanted no glue on my hair. My hair was all virgin hair. This is the first time it's even seen a hot comb. Had no perm, no nothing. I babied my hair.
You've never permed your hair?
No, ma'am.
Your whole life, you've never permed your hair?
Well,
You've never...
what happened was back in like 2007, I cut my hair to where it was like 2 inches long, and then I regrew it, and since then it's never been permed.
Oh, okay, okay.
So I cut it all off, and then I went new.
All right.
Okay, and then I went to the beauty salon in D.C. on...
Wait, what'd you get from them? A sew and weave?
Okay, she did my hair. It looked nice and everything. I have pictures of it after she did it.
And let me see the pictures after she did it. And this was in what month and what year?
It was October the 12th.
Of what year?
Of last year.
2012.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let me see the pictures after you left there.
Okay, here are pictures of the hairstyle she did.
Okay, and then?
When I got it taken down, which was December 10th, I went to a beauty shop in D.C. When they took my hair down, this is what I had. And this is more than what I had at that point, ma'am. I have bald spots here, here, and big time up here.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you to come forward if you can.
Thank you. Right in this corner.
Okay, and then I'm gonna ask you to turn this way, like towards there. Are these stitches?
Yes, ma'am, I had a biopsy done.
Okay.
I had 2 surgical biopsies done, one here and one over here.
Okay.
And this right here is the scarring from where she put glue on my hat and said it wouldn't bother me.
Okay, go ahead and go back to the lectern. Tell me how you did her hair.
I did a sew-in on her.
Okay.
And when I did the sew-in, when I completed the sew-in, it was done in a beehive in the perimeter. By the time I got to the forefront and the crown, I placed the weave to where she would have a natural fall bang because that's what she asked for. And we did coil curls all the way around.
Okay.
So during the process of sewing in a weave, I don't sew in my closures. So on top of the braid in the crown, you make a flower with the small piece of track of hair. And I placed it, which was on top of wefts of hair as well as her braid.
Get to the glue part.
That's where the glue was in the crown, which sat on top of a braid.
How much glue and how?
I have some glue here and I can demonstrate. It would be a pea size. I don't even have to demonstrate.
How many pea sizes?
1.
And where? On the top of the crown?
On the braid.
Okay, and does it touch the scalp?
No, ma'am.
Why is she has a burn all the way across the front right here?
My opinion is when Miss Beatrice went and got her hair redone, they may have bonded some bangs in her. And I would
Except
like
for her
to see...
testimony is that the very next time she went to get it redone, as they're removing it, they're telling her everything that's going wrong because it's coming out in their hands. How did that work when you were?
It just all came out with
like
the
when
thing.
when they're taking apart the weave, it's all coming out in their hands.
Yes, it's just coming out with the extension part, and it wasn't even. My scalp didn't even hurt.
So if you're the last person who touched her hair and the hair is all coming out in chunks at that point when they're taking apart the weave, and the person is saying, oh my gosh, look, and before her, the person's in the taking apart stage. Mm-hmm. The person's not doing anything to her hair yet. They're in the taking apart stage, right? Mm-hmm. Am I missing something? Black hair is so complicated. I try so hard because I get so many of these cases. And I don't care how empathetic I want to be to you guys. Unless I've endured what you've endured, it's so difficult. And I watch Chris Rock's documentary. I try to educate myself. I read on this topic. I personally don't understand. I know the grass is always greener, why everyone doesn't just go natural, because I think that's so beautiful, because I can't have it, but it's not my place to say, but I'm trying to understand. And if the person's taking it apart, assuming the truth of what she's saying, that she's sitting at the very next salon she ever goes to, and they're in the taking apart process where they're taking that weave apart, and it's coming out in their hands, what else would cause it?
There are scalp disorders such as alopecia.
Right.
I asked Miss Beatrice when I first got acknowledged of this, when I was able to speak with her, had she been to the doctor? because there are scalp disorders.
And she said?
And she said no.
Okay,
She said
well then she then went to the doctor. Let me see all of the medical records that you got.
Okay, and I also have instructions on what I wanted. And for what she is saying, she put glue on my hair for. I mean,
Okay,
like,
but what she says is she only used a pea size on the top at the very end.
but she didn't have my permission to use any.
But I have a question. When someone takes a tube, show me the tube. I mean, the theory that she glued your whole weave on, you know, there's two different ways to do weaves, right? Or are there more than two?
There's more than ways.
Okay, well, for our purposes, it's sew in or glue.
Everybody has a preference.
But why, come on up, but why by the way, where were you? You were in some big hurry to go somewhere else.
Okay.
Because you left her holding this bag. Go ahead.
The sewing is better. It's better for the hair than the other.
She paid for sewing, right?
That's what she paid for.
Okay, and you,
And
according
that's
to
what
you,
she
you
did.
sewed.
I sewed her hair.
Right,
down
and
until I got
there was
to
only
it.
one dot back here, and there was nothing up front.
Never had to
Did she
bond
have
in
that
the
scar up front when she saw you?
You know what, Your Honor? I don't know.
How do you not know?
I did not have a reason to look at her forehead
How about
to
you
see
when
if
you
she
washed
had
her
any
hair? Or
scars.
There was no scars on her head. When I shampooed her hair, I could tell that she had previous scalp conditions, judging from my 16 years of experience. And she was also an hour and a half late. So when she came in, she had just taken braids out and she had a lot of hair loss then.
Okay, let's look at what the doctor says. All right, I have a
page-
2-page, I have a 3.
The lab report.
I only have 2 pages of a lab report.
Okay,
And in
page.
these 2 pages, here's what it says. Specimen 1, because they took 2 biopsies, is most consistent with non-scarring alopecia, such as androgenic alopecia. There is some inflammation and scarring in specimen 2, but it may simply be related to chronic folliculitis in this area. The pigmented hair cast is consistent with traction alopecia. Traction alopecia means what?
Pulling.
That's from
Here's the
Pulling.
paperwork.
That's from pulling.
Yes.
Pulling. So, just for the sake of argument, why would glue be worse than weave? Glue
Okay,
would.
ma'am.
It almost seems like the sewing would be worse than the gluing.
Excuse me, ma'am. All of my hair, all of this back here was sewn. I lost no hair back there, okay? For one, when
Are you
she
saying,
put,
just a moment, ma'am, are you saying that everything here was glued? Everything here was
Yes,
glued?
ma'am.
Okay, and while you're sitting there, do you have eyeballs? Because if you have eyeballs and you have paid for a sew and weave and someone has glue up there for, how long does it take to do hair?
It's about 2 hours to
Yes.
sew in a weave.
Yes. it
Okay,
is.
so, and someone is up there for an hour because half your head is being glued with a glue bottle. Don't you notice it? Because
It'll
I'm not sure that
it'll
happened.
No,
All right, I'm
ma'am.
going to take a recess and I want to make sure that I am not misinterpreting a word in this because this is key. This medical report is key to this case. And I want to make sure I get every little bit of it.
All rise. Welcome back to the People's Court. Harvey Levin here. Is glue more dangerous in losing hair in a weave than, say, sewing?
It is.
Why do you say?
It rips out the hair follicles and then you kind of lose your hair.
You buying that?
Yeah. I think.
Anybody else know about weaves? Weaves, these?
I know weaves, but I wouldn't want glue in my hair.
Why?
Just
Because I thought they do that sometimes.
no.
They
Well,
don't-
they do, but I wouldn't want it in my.
Because?
I just want natural products more than glue.
Okay, fair enough. What do I know? Going inside the courtroom.
I looked at your medical report to try to figure out what it is that they're saying. And let's go over exactly what the lab report you brought my attention to says. There's 2 specimens taken. Specimen 1 is most consistent with non-scarring alopecia, such as androgenic alopecia. What is androgenic alopecia, ma'am? Do you know?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I'm going to tell you what it is.
Okay.
What it is genetic hair loss. That's what androgenic alopecia means. It is most consistent with genetic hair loss. Okay, there is some, and by that it means old age. You know,
Yeah.
where you're 56, I'm 52. I know your pain in many respects. Okay, there is some inflammation and scarring in specimen 2, but it may simply be related to chronic folliculitis in this area. Chronic folliculitis. Folliculitis is when hair follicles become infected. Okay, specimen number 2 is most consistent with traction alopecia. Traction alopecia is gradual hair loss by the pulling force of tight braids, a substantial risk in women of African American descent who use hair weaves a lot. Okay, so, okay, what about that has anything to do with glue, which is the premise of negligence in this case? Absolutely nothing does. You testify to me that you have had your hair done all over the world in different places and that you've always had weaves. This is just one of those things that you cannot pin on them. It's just, this is something that, according to your own doctor, is a chronic condition from years. You know, somebody else may not have that at 56, but you do. And I don't know, my advice to you is just leave it alone. Leave it alone, let it go natural for a while. But this, based on the evidence that is in front of me, I cannot order them to pay you $7,500 because it's their fault, because your own doctor doesn't say it's their fault. Verdict for the defendant.
Thank you.
All right, both sides, hold on, please.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, she didn't even get all the evidence.
The Judge Milian has ruled that the glue is not the culprit in this case. What's your reaction to that?
Well, the judge didn't hear all of my evidence. There was a misunderstanding off of the bat. You know, Felicia told the wrong way. She braided my hair, and there's certain ways to do stuff.
Do you accept the fact that this could be natural?
No.
Natural occurrence?
No. You know, if you...
How embarrassing is it to have to go around then, you know, work and everything?
I don't. I have to wear a wig.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I still feel that it's her fault. The judge didn't see all the evidence.
All right, right around the corner.
Thank you.
Somehow it's always the judge's fault when somebody loses. Huh? You feel it was the judge's fault that you won?
I am glad that I won that case. I am very glad.
I feel... What, are you throwing your voice?
No. No.
Well, what do you think happened in this case?
Well, what happened in this case is that she's an international salon hopper. And when you go from salon to salon, you're not going to get the results that you're looking for. And it's not good to lie on people.
Harvey?
You know, I got to tell you, in a case like this, it is so helpful to have an expert on your side. It is really hard to win a case without expert testimony. That will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.
Hey, it's Paris. You know I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me, serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? Well, with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills. Wait, did I say job title yet? Get started today and see how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
This is the plaintiff, Hunter Mathena. He says some shingles blew off the defendant at his neighbor's house, and they damaged his car, which was parked in his driveway. The force of the flying projectiles also broke his window, and the defendant's claiming it was an act of God. Well, he begs to differ because the defendant's house was in disrepair, has been neglected for years, and he wants the $4,087.04 it's going to cost him to fix his damaged property. This is the defendant, Leon Benikas. He says the damage to the plaintiff's truck is 6 feet long, for goodness sakes. How can a few roof shingles damage a 6-foot section of a truck? Impossible. Even the insurance investigator stated the damage the plaintiff is claiming is inconsistent with the plaintiff's claim. He doesn't know why his neighbors decided to come after him today, but he owes nothing. He's accused of blowing in the wind.
All parties, please raise your right hand.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket, the plaintiff says shingles blew off the defendant's roof and damaged his car. But the defendant says there's evidence the plaintiff is scamming. It's the case of a bad case of shingles.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Hunter Mathena.
Yes.
You are suing Leon Benikas for $4,087.04. The damage that you say you have sustained as a result of his shingles flying off of his house and onto your property and damaging several items that you say were damaged. Tell me what happened.
In early February, we had a pretty heavy windstorm, gust of about almost 70 miles an hour, a little bit more, actually.
When was that? What date?
I believe it's February 7th.
And according to you, is how many miles an hour?
According to the National Weather Center, it was
Can I see what you have?
76 miles per hour.
Okay, let me see that.
I just wrote that down. I pulled it out off online.
That's not what I get when I look. That's why I want to see it.
Okay.
You don't have that?
I just pulled it off online, and that was a recorded wind speed in Westbrook, Connecticut.
Is that where you are?
No, I'm in New Britain, about 40 miles north.
Okay.
So.
All right, go on. I'll figure it out myself. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, basically, I was away on a trip. I came back. I saw there were shingles.
When did you come back?
The next morning.
Okay, when had you left?
Earlier that day.
Okay.
I had an overnight work trip.
Okay.
Came back. I saw that there were some shingles and marks on the truck. I called my insurance agent. So they came out, looked at it, and they said, it's not from your roof. It's from the neighbor's roof right across.
Okay.
At which time I called him up. Well, I got his phone number from his nephew who lives in the house. Called him up, told him what happened. He said, it doesn't seem likely, but I'll entertain you. And I said, I'll take some pictures and some video, and I'll send it to you.
Did you get his permission to go on his roof?
No, I did not.
Okay. So you go on his roof to take the pictures and the video?
Correct.
Okay. Do you have that?
I do.
Let me see it.
This is the video from his roof that hit my house and car, breaking a window.
Do you have somebody with you there?
No, I'm holding it on my phone. As you can see, I took a piece of the shingle which was in my yard.
It's not a perfect match. It's just a straight line.
Right
but
there
what,
is the missing area where it blew
it just
off
seems so
from.
dangerous. It's like
It
sloped
also,
and you've got a camera.
None of these are properly adhered. Also, there was some statement about my yard being a huge mess. Well, yes, my yard is absolutely a mess. These shingles that fall off or blow.
That's not even his roof.
Wow, you got some nerve though.
Well,
Where's your house and really? Is that your truck?
no, if you look on the right-hand side, that's the corner of the roof where it fell off, where my boat is currently parked. That's where my truck was parked in my driveway. And that's my house to the left.
Do you have pictures? Go ahead, show me the rest of the pictures.
This is the spot where my vehicle was parked. There is your roof. Likewise, there is the small window, which is broken now. And you're right, my yard is a mess. There are roofing shingles from your house all over my roof and all over my yard.
What I'm concerned about is that, is there like a patch there that your nephew fixed or some such thing?
I believe he fixed a patch on a roof. He said the shingles were nailed down, and if you look at the video, you'll see him picking up a shingle. There are nail holes that are removed. Whether he did them, I don't know, or the wind, which I don't know.
But it should be, okay, when you have to take care of this stuff. Have you taken care of it?
I received a written notice from the City of New Britain on April 10th.
Okay.
I called the City of New Britain and told them the house had been sold twice since April 1. I've released from the City of New Britain saying the property has been fixed.
Oh,
Yeah,
you have
thanks.
something from them saying has the property been fixed?
From
Yes,
the
I
new
do.
owners.
From the new owners, yeah.
The new owners have
It was my
rectified the
property.
roof.
when
I understand. I understand.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. Just, I don't
Basically,
want to have
at
future
that point,
problems.
he had said, well, my insurance guy said that this should be considered an act of God, like if a tree fell.
That's what he
and
told
you.
you.
Should
No, but
claim
it's not.
it on your insurance.
Look, it's an act of God if everything was done absolutely correctly, and despite that, hurricane force winds ripped it out. Okay, it's not an act of God if it was installed incorrectly and was therefore unable to withstand winds of, it wasn't 70 miles per hour. How do you know that his shingles, the window you're pointing to is a tiny little window where it could have been anything that hit that? How do you know the shingle hit that?
I brought the shingles with me that were in my yard, and this portion was near my truck, and this portion here was near the little broken window.
Now, what is your defense? You've seen the pictures, or you've seen the truck itself. You saw the damage to the truck.
I've seen the
you don't think
pictures,
that,
and
your shingles are all over the place.
Obviously, I don't deny the roof is disrepair. All I know is when I saw the pictures of the truck, they're inconsistent according to my estimate. All my friends who I know are in auto repair business. But
do you have
if you look,
expert testimony?
I have one. Rather than have my son,
I mean, there are tar marks on the car. Where do you think it came from, if not? I mean, I can see the tar marks.
Right, but anyway, read this. This is from an uninterested party. I just asked somebody my daughter knew to look at it and see what he thinks.
Okay.
My contention is that there's no way a shingle can blow off a roof, blow across the yard, go in a straight line, and make a mark like that. And it doesn't make. When a shingle hits an object, it's going to fall down by gravity. It'll drop down and scratch on the way down. It's a felt side with
Everyone's
asphalt.
an expert. Everyone's an expert in stuff
I
that's
did
completely
roofing.
beyond the ken of
No,
your
Your Honor, I did
knowledge.
I've
If
done
a
lot of
tar
roofing.
hits there, what are you saying? Then it has to necessarily, it can't ricochet off. It has to slide down and damage below. And if there's no damage below, then the tar got there how? Put your hand down. I'm working. I've been doing this without you for 37 years. Okay? 30 years.
It's not.
So if wind blows shingles off a roof and damages a car, is the person who owns a house responsible?
No, it's an act of God.
Is it always an act of God? That's the question.
I don't think so.
Why?
Because nature is the one blowing the wind, and it could have been the construction workers that didn't attach the shingles properly.
Oh, so maybe it wasn't attached properly. What's the big question you guys should be asking?
How old is
Big is the gust.
How big is the gust? And you know what? There's no specific wind gust that creates an act of God, but that's the right question going inside the courtroom.
So tell me like how that happens then. What got that there? Do you think that your shingles did not do any damage, but he decided to take his perfectly pristine truck and then like put tar on it to pin this on you? Like, what is your theory here?
I don't know. It looks like a scrape on a car rather than the shingle hitting
It doesn't look like a scrape. It doesn't. I'm looking at it. Doesn't look like a scrape. It's here and here and here and here and here and here. It's the opposite of a
Then
scrape.
how can all the shingles hit in the same line all the way across?
But it's not really in the same line.
Well, it's 7 feet long, though.
How long are these pieces?
Approximately 3 feet, 2.5, maybe.
Wow. I have the report from the National Weather Service, and the wind speed in your town on that day was 33 miles an hour. That was the highest wind speed, and the highest gust, which a gust could happen here and not there. I mean, you kind of don't know, was 60. I expect a roof to survive that. I expect a roof to be placed in a way that this won't happen. But frankly, the best evidence is the incredible state of disrepair that your roof is in, where it's falling apart everywhere. That, to me, is pretty much evidence. See, God didn't intend for your shingles to fly.
No.
He intended for your shingles to be in better repair so that they wouldn't fly.
I agree 100%.
We're done. The only question is, what are the damages? According to you, your Toyota is going to take $2,000 in repairs. Can I see the estimates? Did you get one estimate or more than one?
I only got one.
Why would it ever take $1,206.07 to replace that teeny weeny little window, sweetheart?
The cleaning up of the yard.
No, you're suing separately for the cleaning up of the yard, and we'll talk about how laughable that quote is in just a moment. I first want to talk about how laughable this quote is, because then when you bring me one estimate for the repair, I start to be suspicious of you. So first, let's talk about the quote for $1,206.07. Let me see it.
I only have one quote, and it's for 19 for everything in its entirety.
Why would he be responsible for removing partial decking, cleaning, raking, and bagging debris from under your deck, and then reinstalling your decking?
I called them up and I asked them for an insurance estimate.
So they blew it into like ridiculous
At that point,
proportions in order
I was under the impression we were still going through the insurance.
I am not going to award you the amount that you're asking for. I'm going to award you what I think is fair. And based on the damages that I'm seeing, I find in favor of the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. That's my judgment.
Well, the defendant has just learned that 33-mile-an-hour winds with gusts up to 60 does not constitute an act of God. What's your reaction to losing this case?
I don't feel I had a full say in the case. First of all, it was never proven that the shingles actually hit the car and damaged the car. And I didn't get a chance to ask the plaintiff if in fact, when he offered to settle for $900 the first time around, why did he raise it? Because I didn't settle.
All right, okay. Head right around this way. All right, so come on in here. That roof didn't look so good.
Formally, yes.
Formally?
Yeah.
Okay, so you win this case, but you don't get everything you sued for. What's your feeling on this?
It is what it is. I was going to shop around the prices.
You tried to jack it up a little bit.
I asked for insurance estimates because I thought we were going through insurance, and
they jacked it up.
Yeah, I just went to the dealer for both estimates, and I went to.
Why'd you offer $900 as a settlement?
I never had that conversation with him.
He says he did. No,
I would have taken it.
He's making that up.
I would have taken it.
Harvey?
I got to tell you, jumping on the defendant's roof to take pictures is called a trespass, and that can get you in big trouble. And that will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.
You know that feeling when someone shows up for you just when you need it most? That's what Uber is all about. Not just a ride or dinner at your door. It's how Uber helps you show up for the moments that matter. Because showing up can turn a tough day around. Or make a good one even better. Whatever it is, big or small, Uber is on the way. So you can be on yours. Uber, on our way.
This is the plaintiff, Maritza Bonilla. She says she lived in the defendant's dilapidated apartment for a very short time. And now that she's moved out, she's having one heck of a time getting her security returned. The doorbell would ring in the middle of the night by itself. The stove didn't work and the bathroom flooded. She has no idea why the defendants are keeping her money, and she thinks the judge will agree. She's suing for $2,400, double her security, which she's entitled to according to the laws of her state. These are the defendants, Melissa Evans and Claudia Fasinelli. They say the plaintiff moved out without the required 30-day notice and tried to use her security as the last month's rent, which is illegal. Besides, the woman broke things in the apartment, had an illegal pet in the place, and they have every right to keep her money. In fact, they're owed more to cover the damages. They're accused of renting a wreck. The defendants have filed a countersuit for $950 for damages and repairs.
All parties, please raise your right hand.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket, the plaintiff says she suffered through living in a disgusting apartment, and the landlord added insult to injury by not returning her security. But the defendants say the plaintiff skipped out illegally and she was a disaster to boot. It's the case of going mental over the rental.
You're welcome in.
Maritza Bonilla, you are suing Melissa Evans and Claudia Fasinelli. Okay. For $2,400, double the security deposit because according to you, they have improperly withheld it, and Connecticut law allows you to sue for double if that happens. You're counterclaiming against her $950 in addition to keeping the security deposit because according to you, she broke a doorbell and stove. Okay, let's start with you. What happened?
I moved in this apartment in July 4, 2011. I give her a 1 month deposit, $1,100, and 1 month rent. Claudia, we made an agreement that she was going to charge me 1 month rent and 1 month deposit. When I moved in, she changed her mind and she said she wants 2 months deposit. So
okay,
I said,
was any of that, there was no written lease?
Yes. No.
Can I see the
it was a
written lease?
verbal lease.
Okay, let me see the written lease.
Thank you.
Okay, is this your signature? Did you sign this lease?
Yeah.
Yes? So
Yes.
was there a lease?
Well, it was a verbal lease. It was not a
What's
lease.
that? That's from handwriting. Is that the lease you signed?
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Okay, that's a written lease. I don't know what you're saying. It's a written lease. Okay. Go ahead.
All right. So I give him $100 extra for the second deposit, and I told him that I wouldn't be able to make up the rest of the deposit because I didn't have a lot of work in that time. So.
Well, just a moment. So all you paid of that other month was $100.
That's right.
Are you in agreement with that?
Yes.
Okay. Now let's move on to the next crisis. You lived there how long?
9 months.
And then you decide you want to leave.
I move out. The reason why is because the school didn't work out for my daughter.
Okay.
And they knew that.
How old is your daughter?
14.
It was a month to month in the written lease,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay. So how much notice did you give?
I told them April 15th of the
Of what
following
year?
Of following year, 2012.
On April 15th of 2012, you tell them you're moving out on what day?
At the end of the month.
Okay, so you gave them 15 days notice.
Yes.
But you know you're supposed to give them 30.
I told them that I was willing to give them the 2 weeks that I didn't know, give it the notice.
So you're willing to give them what? 2 more weeks? Because you think that if you notify them on April 15th, you only have to stay till May 15th. That's what you think.
Right, the whole month, because it was 30 days notice, because it was a verbal
Okay,
notice.
you don't think you have to notify them at the beginning of a rental period. You think that you could just notify them in the middle, and then that's the day they have to rent the apartment and prorate it to somebody else?
No.
Yeah, that is what you're saying.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so
All
go
right,
on.
So Claudia was very
And
upset
they said
with
to
me.
you
She didn't
what
want-
when you
No, she didn't
offered
want to
that?
work it out with me, so I let it go. And Melissa came around later, and she said to me, okay, I want to get things clear and in good terms with you. If you leave by the 28th of the month, before the 1st of May, and the apartment is ready to go to rent it, I give you a deposit. So we agreed to do that.
No.
So I move out the 28th.
Did you agree to do that, Melissa?
If we were able to re-rent it.
All right, so according to you, you tell her if we re-rent it, you try to re-rent it?
Yeah, we did.
And you put it in the paper?
Yeah, we put it, yeah.
Where'd you put it?
Craigslist.
All right, did you re-rent it for May?
No, we did
you
not.
re-rent it for June?
Yes.
Okay, so when she contacts you, when does she contact you and give you a forwarding address?
We received, I received a letter in the mail, so.
All right, so we know you sent a written letter because you acknowledge receiving it, and within 30 days after that, you guys send her, no, we're not returning it, and here's why.
Right.
What's the here's why that you say?
Because there was a stove that was broken when she moved out.
Did she break it?
We feel that she did.
What do you mean you feel? Did she or didn't she?
It was working when she moved in.
Nobody else living in.
Yeah, but sometimes things break because they're old.
Right, the house is 80
so
years
just
old.
because she's in possession, the house is 80 years old, but the stove's not 80 years old.
The house is 80 years old. They never
No, the
changed
stove is not
appliance.
80 years old. I didn't see the stove, but I guarantee to you that the stove is not original like you kept saying in your complaint.
We purchased the house 2 years ago, and we had an inspection done.
Yeah, I understand that a stove. Okay, stop, guys. You're grown-ups. You've owned things. Okay, you know that things have a natural shelf life, and at some point they break. Excuse me, the tenant. If the tenant breaks them, they're responsible for them. But if the tenant doesn't break them, why are they responsible for the thing when it broke? What you say in your letter to her is, it broke during the term of your lease agreement, so you have to buy us a new stove. That's preposterous. Of course not. Why would you have to do that?
So, do you have to give the 30 days notice based on when the rent is due, or say, if the rent is due in the 1st, could you say, I'll give it on the 15th and wait 30 days from the 15th? What do you think?
As long as you adjust the price so that you're paying for when you're there and you're not paying for when you're not there.
So you can adjust the price even if rent is due in the 1st and say you give notice in the 15th.
Yeah, I think a month is a month as long as you pay for the time you're there.
Is that right? That it counts and whenever you want to give it during the month?
Yes, absolutely.
I think you're all wrong. Going inside the courtroom.
I ask you again for the final time, do you have proof that she broke it? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. Now let's talk about the doorbell, though, because that you have a confession on. Now, talk to me about the doorbell. What happened with the doorbell?
The doorbell was, I was going to bring my daughter, my younger daughter lives with me. We were sleeping already. It was after 11 o'clock at night, and it was very windy night, and all of a sudden the doorbell started ringing.
The what?
The bell started ringing in my apartment. Like if somebody was ringing the bell. Yeah, it was and it stopped.
It's a
and got
buzz?
stuck. Yeah, it buzzed.
So it's a continuous buzz?
Yeah, it stopped and it got stuck in there. So Anna was wake up. I said, Mom, what happened? What happened? I said, I don't know what happened, honey. I don't know. So we went downstairs and nobody was around. And the bell still was ringing. There was a stuck in there. So I went in the chair and the bell is above the stove. And I took the two little wires connected and I unplugged it.
You unplugged it or you ripped it?
No, unplugged it. There's two little wires connected because it's electric.
You untwisted them?
Yeah, untwisted.
Describe how you untwisted them.
They were like this. So I went up like this and put it up like this.
So you
I
just
didn't
pulled them
break it.
apart.
I didn't rip it.
You
no.
didn't cut them.
No, I didn't cut it or anything because I didn't. So that's what I did and they stopped. And I told her about the bell and she said, why you didn't call me? I said, was it in the middle of the night?
I wouldn't want my tenant to call me over twisting off two wires. You could just twist them back up again. What happened with the doorbell?
The doorbell was completely dismantled. And
You have a picture of it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so these two wires are disconnected. Why don't you just connect them again and then the doorbell will work?
If you look close, you'll see the whole piece is pulled off the wall.
Let's just say that she ripped it off the wall. What do you expect her to do in the middle of the night to get this to stop buzzing?
Like any other tenant, call or text.
And what would you have done?
I would have come over and I would have done
How far
it
do you
myself.
live?
I lived right around the corner.
And what would you have done? Are you handy?
Pretty handy,
Pretty
yeah.
handy. Let me see the
Bill?
estimate by your handyman. And according to you, you did not call her because what?
Because I did talk to her before about the stove, and she never did anything about it. The
I know,
stove
but
was
if you
the
just
first
called
issue.
her and she didn't do anything about it, within 30 minutes you could pull it out yourself and there'd be no problem. But if you don't even call her, am I supposed to just ignore the fact that you didn't call her? I don't know.
I did call
I mean,
her
I
the
know
next
that if
day,
this thing
yeah.
was going, I'd be taking like a baseball bat and hitting it, and
Yeah, I did.
because that would make me crazy. But
Well, that's
she
what
lives
happened.
around the corner.
Yeah, but
Were you ever called to fix anything else?
No.
She said she told you that the stove was broken. Did she?
Yeah.
She did tell me this.
And so how come you didn't run over the right around? I'll be right over and fix the stove.
No.
She told me the stove was broken and she told me there was a clog. And I had come over like the next day to address the clog. I told her that I would have somebody look at the stove. The stove, she told me the
How
stove.
long did you have somebody looking at the stove?
3 or 4 days later.
And then what did the person told you you need a new stove?
Yes, he told me that.
And then how long did you live without a stove?
For the 9 months that I was there.
So you're not exactly
not true.
quick in responding to complaints.
That's not true.
Because it was
How
the
long
oven.
did she live without a stove?
That's not true. She lived quite a few. It was long.
Okay.
But I did have someone take a look at it.
All right. The bell is a close one, but I don't know. You know what? I'm not going to make her pay for a doorbell that's ringing nonstop. You guys are going to have to eat that one as landlords too. You know, given the totality of the circumstances that we have here, where she has a broken stove for 8 months, 9 months, I'm not going to make her pay for that. Which would mean, however, that yes, you have, and let me explain to you how it works. When you have to give 30 days notice, you have to give the 30 days notice at the beginning of a rental unit period. So your rental period is from the first to the end of the month. So if you do it in the middle of the month, you have to stay a month and a half in order to be in compliance. Not just, and then I'm giving you notice. No, don't talk. Mm-hmm. It's 30 days from the beginning of it, so you'd have to do it on the 1st. If you're renting from the 1st to the end, then it's the 1st. If you're renting from the 15th to the 15th, then it's the 15th. You understand? It has to be one full 30-day period, and if it's not, then you're giving her a month and a half notice. So as for the $1,200 that's on that side that you want back, I find that the $1,100 covered the rent for the short notice, okay, for the entire following next month, and I'm going to order you to repay $100 that you have on your side that has nothing to do with rent for the following month. $100 verdict for the plaintiff. That's my judgment, and on the counterclaim, 0.
The plaintiff collects a little bit. The defendant coming out here. The landlords. What's your feeling on the judge's ruling here? Step up a little.
I think it was fair.
You're all right with that?
I think we were happy. Very, very fair. The judge was fair.
All right. Would you like to live without a stove for that long?
No.
Right? Kind of tough, right?
I believe she broke the stove. And I believe she was responsible to fix it if she broke it.
All right. You just head right this way, and let's see what the plaintiff has to say. All right, come on in here. You satisfied with what you got out of this?
Well, that's the way it is, you know.
Yeah, that's how it is. Yeah.
That's the way it is.
How is it?
Yeah, it was fine. It was fine.
Uh-huh.
At least I don't have to pay him anything.
All right, and so where do you live now?
I live in Norwell.
I mean, you have a better place.
I have a better place.
You have better landlords.
And I make sure the landlord give me everything requires. Yeah.
In writing.
In writing. That's
okay.
right.
I think the doorbell's ringing right around the corners. Harvey.
There are a lot of states that do say that you have to give the notice when the rent is due. And also, you got to know that in some states, if a landlord withholds security, some states say that you can get double or even triple the amount of the actual security if the landlord violates the law. That's punishment, so the landlord won't do it again.